Yo. Welcome in, everyone. Today is January the 4th, 2022. The ChrisBeCappinn show is back, man. I know it's been a couple days. It's been pretty inconsistent. To start the new year, just got a lot of stuff going on, man. So, always trying to make some cash, though. I didn't do a show yesterday. Tweeted out a play that I liked. The Boston Celtics got ran out of the gym yesterday. Without SGA, 150 points scored against the Oklahoma City scored against them. So yeah, things happen, crazy things happen like that, and you lose. That's why it's important to protect your bankroll. Make sure that you're only, risking what you can lose, and you have a unit size that you kind of stick to. So, uh, 0-1 day on official plays that I gave out yesterday. Like I said, didn't really do a lot. Just kind of busy, some personal stuff going on in life, but everything's good though. Everything's good. Real quick, as always, hit the like button for me as you guys join the show. Retweet, all that good stuff. And let's get into it. I do want to say before we get started, because we are limited on time, I did the show a tad bit later than I typically do. I will not be going over every game. I'll break down the games that I did kind of handicap and give you guys my best looks. Not a lot of the likes. These will be plays that are in my best slip. Also, for transparency reasons, because I always try to be as transparent as possible. I haven't placed any bets yet. Everything is sitting in the best slip. But with the SGA news yesterday and how we've been bitten in the butt with the manipulation of the injury report recently, I'm not placing bets until 5 minutes before the game because I don't trust the NBA right now. I know all of it's happening for a reason. We see Joel Embiid pop back up on the game on the injury report again after going out and scoring whatever he scored in the last game. Like, I just can't risk it. If I get a worse line, I'm totally fine with that. I don't want to put my money on something that, I can see kind of change at the last minute, given an injury, some late injury news or whatever the case might be. If you got guys questionable, whatever the case is. So I haven't put in a bet yet. I got a few that I really, really love sitting in my best sleep that I'm ready to hit the enter button on, submit, but haven't gotten it yet. So what I want to do is, first and foremost, let me get to my notes, and I'm gonna jump right in. Like I said, retweet the show, like the show, do all that good stuff, show some support. Appreciate you guys for doing so. Everybody in the YouTube comment section. If you're watching on Twitter and you want to join YouTube, the link is in the tweet that I tweeted out most recently. I always forget to say that, but people, some people like watching, some people like listening. So let's get right to it. So first game, let's go to the Pacers and 76ers game. Won't be here long because I don't think that we have injury news yet. Joel Embiid, like I said, was listed as questionable earlier. I feel like we don't have that updated information. It makes this game extremely difficult to play. If Joel Embiid is in, I kind of like the Sixers here. I know that the Pacers have been hot, but the Sixers, to me, I'm looking to take home teams. I think there's something to taking home teams. I know the spread came down in this one as well. It's up, to 7.5 in favor. Well, it was a 7.5 in favor of the Sixers. I think has come down just a tad bit. Let me get matter of fact, let me grab my iPad real quick. Grab my iPad real quick so I can pull up the latest odds. Okay. All right, we back in action. So this game is Sixers are, see where Philly at. Philly they're 5-point favorites. So maybe the books are telling us that Embiid maybe doesn't play. I didn't see anything about Embiid being out. Oh, Embiid is out. Okay, appreciate y'all. I didn't see that. So Joel Embiid is out. I actually like the Pacers in that spot. Then I didn't see that injury news, so I'm glad. Appreciate y'all for letting me know that in the chat. When Embiid being out, he wasn't out last time I had looked. I would look towards the Pacers in this spot. Nothing that I played, but I was telling you guys, Pacers are hot. They're 7-3 straight up last 10 and 8-2 against the spread. This is their first road game after having 4 straight home games. They won and covered all the spreads. They're also 6-2 against the spread as away dogs against the Eastern Conference. 6-0 in their last 6 as well. So, like I was saying, this is probably a Pacers spot now. They also had the 3rd best offensive rating the last 2 weeks. 17th best defensive rating last 2 weeks. Philly did also beat them earlier this year, 120-106 back on October 24th in Philly as well. So yeah, I'll be looking towards the Pacers plus the points. Also think James Harden to the moon. I had it written down in my matter of fact. Let me pull it up real quick. James Harden points plus assists. I know that number's probably shot up now. Yeah, his whole PRA is up to 41.5, and I still be looking towards the over. James probably will have a really, really big game. One thing you know about the Pacers, they don't stop guards. They don't have a wing guard that can be able to stop James Harden. So his 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists over is something that I would look extremely hard on. He gonna have the ball in his hand the whole entire time. And if he goes out and scores 30, gets 10 assists and 7 rebounds, he clearly clears this line. Without James Harden and Maxey kind of finding his way back in, they don't have another big man that's going to be able to replace what Harden does. So I think in place what Embiid does, I would look towards Harden. Points and assists, points, rebounds, and assists. Like I said, 41.5 still feels like a tad bit of a bargain. I know his points, rebounds, and assists was about 35.5, 36.5 last week when we were cashing on that. So I still think we get an aggressive James Harden in this spot, and I will be looking at his points, rebounds, and assists over. Moving along to the next game, Grizzlies and the Hornets. I'm gonna keep this one really short because I'm already over in time for how long I wanted to talk about that game. So Grizzlies and Hornets, this spread is at 7 right now. Opened at 7, it went up to 7.5. I also saw it at 8 as well. I feel like it. Let me just check real quick. I feel like I still saw 8. Maybe I'm tripping. No, I said 7. So what I'm looking at in this game, initially my first thought was Grizzlies team total over, because we know the Hornets are one of the worst defensive teams, but taking a tad bit of a closer look, they're also the worst defensive. I'm sorry, not the worst defensive team, they're the worst offensive team, right? So Grizzlies, first night of a back-to-back, they play in Orlando tomorrow. They won 3 in a row, covered all 3. One of those was on the road. 2 of those were at home. They're 3-2 straight up. I think this is important to mention. 3-2 straight up and against this, and 3-2 straight up and against the spread, but 3-0 straight up and against the spread versus the East as an away favorite when they have Jared Jackson Jr. in the game, right? I always talk about his presence. He makes a lot of bonehead fouls. If he's not doing, that crazy stuff, then this team is really solid on the defensive end. They're winning those games by average of 9 points. I think the Grizzlies get it done today. I think that they cover the spread. I'm not interested in taking them on the spread though, because we know away favorites land more than 7 points or more. I tweeted it yesterday when somebody asked me that it's a really, really terrible hit rate percentage wise if you look at teams that are away favorites that are laying 7 points or more. So even if they don't cash in this spot and don't win the game by 7 points, I do think that the Hornets team total goes under, and that's my play in the game. That's what I have sitting in my best slip, under 114.5. And I'll give you guys my quick write-up on that. So Kelly Oubre, he's going to miss extended time with the hand injury. The Hornets offensive rating takes a big hit without him. Offensively, the Hornets have a 109.8 rating in 35 games that he's actually played versus only a 103.4 offensive rating with him being out so far in 3 games, right? They've scored 3 points less, 111.6 with him versus only 108 points without him. Now they're asked to score 114 points tonight. In 3 games without him this season, they've only scored more than 114 once. And that was the last game against the Lakers defense that we know is pretty atrocious, whether they're at home or on the road. The Lakers defense hasn't picked it up just a tad bit. They are ranked 19th defensively over the last 2 weeks, but that's neither here nor there. The Hornets have gone under their team total in their last 3 games versus an opponent that has a 50% win percentage or better in all 3 contests. You look at the Memphis team, they're second best defensively last 2 weeks, and Charlotte, the worst offensively last 2 weeks. So I really, really like the Hornet team total under the 114.5. Probably my favorite play of the day. So that's how I'm looking at that game. I think that the Grizzlies, they could get to their team total, but teams aren't necessarily needing to score 122 points, which is what their team total was at, because the Hornets aren't scoring, right? And like I said, Kelly Oubre is a big part of that. They just don't have a lot of depth at the guard position. Even though LaMelo's back, he's coming in and kind of taking on a really, really big role. I know Dennis Smith Jr. came back in the last game, but I'm not looking for him to be too effective tonight. So Hornets team total under the 114.5 is my favorite play in that game. Also couldn't talk anybody off job props. We know that he's a rebounding machine. I looked at Steven Adams really, really hard too, because this guy has had 20 plus rebounds in back-to-back games. I think 21 and 23. We know that you always like to attack the Charlotte Hornets team. Um, you know, from a rebounding perspective. Steven Adams rebounds at 14 and a half. I couldn't get there. I still think it's a game where he could score, go out there and get 15, 16 rebounds. I talked about, just recently, just briefly, the Charlotte offense ranks dead last in the NBA last 2 weeks, worse than any other team in the NBA. So what that correlates to me is a lot of rebounding opportunities, and Steven Adams has been the guy that's been down there getting all the rebounds. You also go back and check his track record. He rebounds the ball really, really well against this team. So I think 14 and I think he has a 20 rebound game against this team, against the Charlotte Hornets as well. But I didn't take it. Just a look that I was kind of throwing out there. If anybody had any questions on that one. Suns and the Cavs game, very, very interesting game here. Looks super easy to take the Cleveland Cavaliers as 5.5-point favorites. The line has moved in their way. It opened at 4.5. Mobley and Garland did go through shoot around today. I'm not 100% sure if we have any injury news. Let me just check and make sure, because you guys, I feel like everybody knows a little bit more than I do right now as far as injury news. I did just kind of run in the house to get the show started. So Devin Vassell just got ruled out. We got starting lineups for, matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and post it up top for you guys so you guys will be able to see it as well. We got some injury news that I'm gonna share with you guys up top so people can see it as they kind of pop in. We got Devin Vassell ruled out in the Spurs game, which I'm gonna get to in a second. Starting lineup for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It looked like Mitchell is ruled out. Evan Mobley is going. I'm sorry, Mitchell's ruled in. Garland's also ruled out. Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen going to be starting for them. So yeah, Garland's out. So Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and Pascal Siakam is going to be starting. Derrick Rose available to play. Obi Toppin is actually available to play. He hasn't played in a while for them. Wendell Carter Jr. and Gary Harris won't have minute limits. Gordon Hayward's also ruled out. That makes their play even better that I just kind of talked about. The Hornets team total under with Jaden McDaniels sliding into the starting spot. What else we got? Lonnie Walker and Braun. Yeah, I knew all that. Okay, so back to the Suns and Cavs games. Like I was saying, now that we know Mobley is in, Garland is out, no D Book on the other side. The Suns are just 1-5 straight up and against the spread on the road without Devin Booker this season, failing to cover their last 3 games. They lost to the Wizards, they lost to the Raptors, and they lost to the Knicks. All of those losses were by 9 points or more. Excuse me. The Cavs, on the other hand, 17-4 straight up at home, 14-6-1. That's 70% if you just take the Cavs on the spread every single time. If you're hitting that 70% of your bets, you actually cashing. You're doing pretty good for yourself. The Cavs, they went to the overtime game where they won the other day against the Chicago Bulls, had to exert a lot of energy and effort to come back in that game because they was actually getting smacked up, losing by, I think, 20 points at halftime in that game. So one of the things I looked at was when teams had actually been in overtime. You know what? Scrap that. The Suns are on the last game of a 6-game home trip. Like I said, just 1-5 in their last 6 in Cleveland as well, and 1-5 against the spread without Devin Booker. For me, this game is extremely difficult to cap. The only way I would look to play this game, I feel like the Suns are going to get right eventually. I just don't know if the Suns are going to be able to get right in Cleveland. The reason why I would say so is because they got absolutely embarrassed against the Knicks. And I do feel like the Knicks right now have a better defense than the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's crazy to say that, but the Knicks defense comes to play. They've been shutting opponents down. I think that's one of the reasons why the total has shifted, downward. Some money's come in on the under, I should say, in the Knicks in the Spurs game. But, going back to this game, I do feel like the Suns probably come out and try to play with some energy and effort. Going through and, listen to some of the reports, some of the players actually talk about this game. I think it's, I don't think that the Suns going to win this game, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did. So in that case, I do think the 5.5 is just a tad bit too much. And I would look for the Suns to kind of keep this one close early. I think that's my favorite play in this game will probably be the first quarter or first half for the Suns. I think the Cavs coming off the big win against the Bulls in overtime, where Donovan Mitchell scored, a career high and franchise record 71 points, could just be a tad bit too much to kind of follow that up. I also talked about it the other day. The Cavs don't have a lot of scoring. These guys, especially if you put Garland on the bench, where he's not playing, they just can't generate enough offense in my estimation. They have a knockdown shooter in Kevin Love, but guys like Isaac Okoro and Lamar Stevens are not offensively. Those guys aren't on the scouting report. Just put it like that. Those guys are not on the scouting report. So I actually think the Suns keep this one close. I think it'll be a defensive game, hence the total going under, dropping down as well. Without Devin Booker, the Suns don't score as many points, but the Cleveland Cavaliers also struggle to score the ball as well. So, another big heavy workload with only 1 day's rest coming up for Donovan Mitchell tonight after scoring 71 points and having to go to overtime. So I don't look for him to be able to repeat that performance. I saw just looking through the beat writer stuff earlier, I saw him and Mikal Bridges were texting back and forth throughout, I guess it was yesterday. And he was telling and Mikal was pretty much telling him like, yo, I'm glad you did that the other day, because you're not about to do that against me tonight anyway. So, I'm paraphrasing, but something to those lines. I do think, Mikal Bridges is a better defender than anybody the Chicago Bulls have. In Chicago, I think the Suns should be the more motivated team in this spot. One way to, to kind of fade the Cavs is, looking at them after a previous win, right? We know that they can come out and be kind of flat. I think they're 9-6 in that spot against the spread overall, which is extremely profitable. Not extremely profitable, but profitable. But I do kind of feel like sometimes they kind of drop the ball. And to me, it's a motivation spot for the Suns in this game specifically, after getting manhandled against the Wizards against the Knicks in a game where they just weren't close at all. So that's my looks on that game, but nothing official. Like I said, Suns first quarter, Suns first half will probably be the top play in that game for me, especially without Garland, with Garland being ruled out now. And let's see, that spread is it's 5.5. It's still 5.5. So yeah, that's the way I would look in that game. Spurs and the Knicks, a very, very interesting game. I gave out the Knicks first half last week when they were in San Antonio, and we know that they absolutely got smoked in that game. Kind of remind me a lot of how Boston got smoked last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Knicks were without Jalen Brunson last week. They get him back. Devin Vassell's been ruled out. Derrick Rose is ruled in. I just told you guys that. Obi Toppin is also back. So the Knicks got a full squad. To me, I don't see how the Knicks come out here, especially in this revenge spot, and not dominate the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs play well at home. On the road, they're a totally different team. And I'm not going to say they play well. They play better at home. On the road, they're a totally different team. The way I would look to play this game is I would look at the Knicks. I think first quarter, first half, you guys determine whether you want to play the spread or play the totals. For me, the totals feel a little bit more safer just because the Spurs defense is the worst in the league. It doesn't matter if it's first quarter, first half, or full game. The Spurs give up the most amount of points on the road in the NBA. So that kind of, leads me away from the spread. But even though I think the spreads could be in play, I think that if you look at the Knicks, they've been winning games with defense. So what I got written in my notes is that the Spurs continue to be the worst defense on the road. They're allowing 123 points per game on the season. Their last four opponents were the Pelicans, the Magic, the Thunder, and the Nets, and they gave up they've given up 126 points or more in each one of those spots. We know that the Knicks typically score a lot more in the first half than they do for the full game. They kind of sputter. Their offense does. They're not hitting as many jump shots. I feel like they become less aggressive in the second half and not trying to get to the foul line or get into the paint. The Knicks, as a home favorite, they're averaging 63 first half points, 119 for the full game. The Spurs, as away dogs, are losing the first quarter by average margin of 6, right? So I think the Knicks first quarter team total, I think it's 30.5 is in play. Their first half total is my favorite because then you don't necessarily have to get caught, have to worry about getting caught on the hook. A lot of times that's happened to me so far this season where I take a team total at 30.5 and at the end of the quarter, the team will have 30 points. And you lose the bet, even though they scored, 30 points, you don't win that. So I think having the first half would probably be my favorite look. Like I said, they're averaging about 63 points. The Spurs are giving up, I think, 66 points in this spot. And the team total for the Knicks is 60.5 in the first half. So 60.5 first half points for the Knicks is my top look in that spot. I also think it's important to mention that they, like I said, they get Brunson back in the mix. A solid, true point guard that they didn't have in the last game. Also, another thing I looked at was the Knicks actually revenging same season losses at home. So I talked about last week, this team just lost in San Antonio when they did the little rodeo trip thing where you play the Mavs and the Spurs and the Rockets. They lost to the Spurs, but they're back home today, right? So after losing, the Knicks have revenging same season losses at home this season. So when they've lost the previous game on the road, but they get to come home and face that same opponent, they've held the Suns to 83 points, the Warriors to 94 points, the Hawks to 89 points, and the Cavaliers to 81 points in their four most recent performances. So Spurs team total under 107, I feel like is probably in play. It's a lot of different ways you guys could look to play this game. Honestly, I think the one that makes the most sense in my brain is the Knicks team total over for the first half. But like I said, you could do first quarter, first half, full game. If you think the Knicks may not come out and score a lot of points early, typically they do. So I think, like I said, the first half would be the better play, but couldn't talk anybody off the full game. Also think, like I said, the Spurs team total under the 107 could possibly be in play as well. And then a quick look, didn't play this one, but we know that the Spurs give up a bunch of three-pointers, especially on the road. Teams are just letting it fly. It doesn't matter who their opponent is. I was looking at Quickly. No RJ Barrett. Quickly threes are 2.5 over for his threes. RJ, since RJ's been out, his minutes and his volume has increased. He's played 40+ minutes in each of his last 4 games, minus the blowout against the Suns, where he wasn't needed in the second half. He's taken 41 3-pointers in his last 4 games, which is roughly about 10 a game, knocked down 3, 4, and 5 in those games as well. This game presents the same opportunities with Randall and Brunson creating for others in a poor 3-point defense in the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio ranks last in opponent 3-point percentage on the road. They're allowing teams to shoot 42.5%, and they're allowing the 6th most threes made on the season. I like the spot for Quickly. That's also in my best lit, but I haven't bet that one either. I think Quickly comes out there. Like I said, he's shooting a ton, so the volume's there. The Spurs, like I said, worst 3-point defense. So I like Quickly to go over his 3-point prop as well, but I didn't play that one. Moving on to the Raptors and the Bucks. This is a really, really tricky one. Of course, we got the news that Jrue Holiday won't play. For the Raptors, what I have written in my notes was, to me, it's a Raptor spot or nothing. Toronto has covered their last 5 spreads against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are on the second night of a back-to-back, a 3rd and 4, no Jrue Holiday. So one thing I looked at was Toronto, like I said, covered the last 5 meetings. Second game, I think it's important to mention that this is the second game back for Fred VanVleet and Precious Achiuwa. So they have what is probably going to be the most the fullest of a roster that they've had in quite a while. Otto Porter Jr. is still out in this spot, but everybody else is back, right? Typically, you want to buy on that team when the second game, once they get the chemistry and they get the camaraderie back amongst the guys. Plus, they lost to the Pacers in a spot that I actually thought that they would win that game, but the Pacers have been red hot. The Bucks, home road back-to-back with travel. The Bucks are only 2-5 straight up and against the spread as away dogs this season. Losers of 3 in a row, both against the spread and straight up in this spot. And they're losing those games by average of 13 points. The last 3 games as away dogs, they've lost by 21 to the Celtics, 18 to the Nets, and 8 to the Cavaliers. The Bucks are also just 1-2 straight up and against the spread when their previous site does not equal their next site. And they're a dog in that spot, right? So traveling from either home to road in their dog or traveling from road to home in their dog. Both of those losses were by double digits as well. I really wanted to get there and play the Raptors. I do think if the Raptors win this game, it's not going to be because it's a close game. Of course, on the opposite side, the thing that kind of makes me hold my breath about doing it and not, actually hit that submit button is because Giannis is there, right? Like Giannis is still playing even though Drew's not there. I'm not 100% sure how this team operates on a day like today. It also wouldn't surprise me if Giannis set late in this one without us having any information on it at all. I don't know that that's going to happen, but it really wouldn't surprise me. I don't think the Bucks are, gearing up to try to win a lot of games right now. It feels like they are, kind of hit by the injury bug. having a lot of travel in their schedule as well. They haven't, played back-to-back road games. Besides these last two against the Washington Wizards, they still haven't played back-to-back road games. And I really don't like backing teams. I like fading teams on the second night of a back-to-back when they've had to travel from road to home as well. And like I said, the Bucks just aren't a good dog team. Their defense takes a step back recently on the road. So I will be looking towards the Raptors in this spot, but I haven't gotten there and played that one. Toronto -5.5 just seems a tad bit too steep, but I do think they could win this game by 8 to 10 points, and kind of run away with it late. Those are the big games that I wanted to talk about. The Brooklyn and Chicago game, Brooklyn's not a team that I'm betting against right now. I think the Brooklyn team total is sitting in my best lit right now as well. Brooklyn has been just extremely hot, man. You look at this team; they not only are they winning games, but they're covering spreads at a massive rate. I think it's pretty crazy to bet against them, especially when you're thinking about doing it with a Chicago Bulls team that ranks bottom 10 in defense. I think that they could keep it going today. I think the 5.5 number is pretty interesting. Shout out to my guy RC. I see him in the chat. We talk about, he actually put me on this trend. When you look at the Bulls, when they're dogs in conference games is when they typically come to play their best brand of basketball. They were really close to covering the last game in Cleveland. They didn't because their game went to overtime, but they were really, really close to covering that one. That was actually their first loss in quite a while as a dog against a conference opponent. This is a revenge game for Brooklyn. This was right before, I think when these teams played last, Zach LaVine, I think it was, went on a massive run in the second half and put the Brooklyn Nets away. This was, of course, before Steve Nash got fired. I remember watching that game. I think it was on a Monday night. Brooklyn was on the second night of a back-to-back after playing the Indiana Pacers. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. The only way I would look to play this game is looking at, the Brooklyn Nets to be able to kind of keep it going. This team scored 139 points. Of course, that was against the San Antonio Spurs, the worst defense in the league, but 123 against Charlotte. It was in a dogfight in Atlanta, only scoring 108, but gave Cleveland 125, Milwaukee 118, 143 against Golden State. Just a high-powered offense right now where everybody kind of getting in on the action. Watanabe and, of course, Kyrie and KD are doing their thing, but, Royce O'Neal, Ben Simmons is playmaking, Nicholas Claxton is getting, putbacks and rim runs. So I'd be looking at, taking that team total over for the Brooklyn Nets in this spot. Moving along, let's see, what other games haven't I talked about? Portland and Minnesota is a game that I'm not going to touch on. Just didn't have a good read on that one. Really wanted to take Minnesota the other day against the Denver Nuggets, but didn't get there to the window with that one, and was beating myself up about that because I love the spot for them. Portland, last couple times I bet on them, they've laid eggs. I bet on them in Golden State. Thought they were in a really good spot. They laid an egg. I know that they did get a win against Detroit the other day, but that's a game that I'm just off. Houston and New Orleans. Houston on the road, offense, struggles a lot. I saw reports that Zion's going to be out for another month, 3 weeks to a month. So them laying 7.5 seems like a steep price. But the Pelicans they are one of the better teams, top 3 team, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the standings right in front of me. In the Western Conference, also defensively, right? So when you think about Houston not being able to score on the road, and you think about the Pelicans playing their best brand of defense when they are without their superstars, because Brandon Ingram is also still not back for this game. I would only be able to look towards taking the Pelicans, laying the 7, and taking the Pelicans in this spot. Also looking at them early as well. I think that when you don't have your superstars, your guys that pick up the defense, I think that that's when you tend to turn and rely on your defense a little bit more. They have a lot of capable defenders. We know that they have Jose Alvarado. Guys like Jackson Hayes will get a lot more playing time without Zion being there. Of course, CJ McCollum, there's nobody that can guard him on the opposite side. I'll be looking towards his assists in this game, but I didn't play anything. I just feel like Herb Jones and those guys can slow down the guards. And I feel like, even New Orleans role players play better at home as well. So that's another reason why I wouldn't mind, laying the 7. I also think you could look at the team total over for the New Orleans Pelicans because the Houston Rockets aren't playing, much defense at all right now. So those are my thoughts on that game. Atlanta, Sacramento, another game that I'm not extremely interested in. Definitely not looking to back Atlanta in no way, shape, or form. This team just lost to the Lakers at home. They also went to Golden State, put up a really good fight, but lost that game as well. Sacramento seems like they play every day of the week for the last 2 weeks. So not looking to back them at home. I know that they were in Utah last night, so second night of a home road back-to-back. I'm sorry, a road home back-to-back. Spreading this one is 1. Total is 245. Seems a tad bit too high for a team that probably will run out of gas in the second half, that being the Sacramento Kings. But the Atlanta Hawks aren't playing much defense. I know that the defense does typically play better on the road, so I think that under is probably in play, but nothing that I put my money on. Miami and LA. And then we got Detroit and Golden State. And I'm at 31 minutes. So I'm doing pretty good with time. I'm trying to get through these in the next few minutes. So Miami, Lakers. Miami, I think, is their 4th road game on the West Coast. They have looked well, right? They got the game winner on not on Christmas Eve, on New Year's Eve against the Sacramento Kings, and they followed that up with a win over the Los Angeles Clippers. So they've already been in LA, of course. LeBron has been ruled out. Of course, there's no Anthony Davis. The total has come down in this one from 227.5 down to 225, and the spread has ballooned from 4 all the way to 8.5. Gotta look at Westbrook, right? Absolutely gotta look at Westbrook in this spot. I couldn't talk anybody off Westbrook. Couldn't talk anybody off Thomas Bryant. His double cash the other day. I talked about that. Without Bron in there, that's even more, rebounding opportunities for him. I also think, guys like Austin Reeves, looking at his props. When you take Austin Reeves, you typically want to look at his whole PRA because he's probably going to be the guy that can create, and facilitate other than, a guy like Westbrook, right? So I think that's in play. But the big play that I think that kind of jumps out to me the most in this game, and another shout out to my guy RC, we were talking about this one earlier, is the Miami Heat team total over, right? Miami's not a team that can, they don't typically score a lot of points, right? They typically play defense, but their offense does play better on the road. They're also healthy. Tyler Hero is in. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler missed last game. He's due to return for this game. I do think that the Lakers play with pace. I think Miami plays with pace, and I will be looking towards the Miami Heat, their team total for the first half or the full game. If you think that, this is a late game for the Miami Heat, they've been on the West Coast, so their body has had some time to adjust to travel and, just kind of being acclimated to the West Coast. But if you think that the Miami Heat are going to be able to, if you think that they, just get the game out the way early, you take their team total for the first half. I'm more so looking at the full game. The total is 117.5. That's another bet that's in my bet slip right now that I have not placed as well. And then the last game is the Detroit Pistons and the Golden State Warriors. Golden State is laying 6.5 points. The spread in this one the total in this one came down just a tad bit from 233 down to 231 in some places, 232s out there as well. This Detroit Pistons team has not functioned well recently. They did get the win against the Minnesota Timberwolves in a game they had to, scrap and claw their way back in the second half. But I put that more so on the Minnesota Timberwolves and not on the Detroit Pistons. Not wanting to take anything from Detroit, because if you do look at Detroit as away dogs against non-conference opponents, they are really, really good in that spot. Coming off the loss against the Portland Trail Blazers, so they've been on the West Coast for, quite a while now. I would only be able to look towards the Golden State Warriors, though. I talked about it the other day, didn't give it out as an official play, but Klay Thompson points are absolutely in play. This dude had 54 points, and I think his point prop is still at 24.5, 25.5. Without Steph Curry, he just continues to score the ball. He continues to score the ball at a very high rate. Detroit is their scrappy team, but the way Golden State plays their offense, the way that they run, pick and roll and back screens and a lot of curl action, Klay Thompson's always going to be able to find his his shot in a system like Steve Kerr's. So I like Klay. They don't have a guard that can guard him. I like Klay Thompson to go over his point prop. I also like Golden State to probably win this game. I don't know if I want to lay 6.5 with them, but they do have the the potential to win this game by double digits. So that's what I got for you guys. 35 minutes in the books. I'll go over just what I said at the very beginning for the people who joined late. And the big thing was the transparency piece. I talked about yesterday how I gave out the Boston Celtics first half -5 before we got the news about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, having an illness and eventually being rolled out. So because of that, and because there's been so much, manipulation of the injury report, all my bets are sitting in my bet slip. I haven't placed any of them yet, if I'm just being fully transparent and honest with you guys. But I will go through and tell you guys what I have sitting in my bet slip right now, just so that you guys know. And it's gonna be, my official plays that I just haven't pulled the trigger on yet. And those plays are: one, the Memphis Grizzlies team total. I'm sorry, the Charlotte Hornets team total under 114.5. In that Philadelphia 76ers and Indiana Pacers game, James Harden, PRA, over 41.5. The New York Knicks team total first half over 60.5. The New York Knicks full game team total over 117.5. And I'm going just a tad bit slower so people can write them down if they need to. Favorite prop in that game will be quickly over his 2.5 threes, but I didn't bet that. Probably won't bet that. Probably just sit there. And then you can get this Miami Heat team total at over 116.5. So it has dropped some. The total for the full game has dropped some. So the Miami Heat team total has dropped as well. And then that other one that I had for you guys was, let me see if I can find it. The Brooklyn Nets team total over 120.5. I think the Brooklyn Nets can go into Chicago and, probably get whatever it is that they want. I think they score 121 points tonight. So those would be my top. I think that's 5 plays if you exclude the player props. James Harden, PRA is not probably something that I may get there on, may not get there on, but I do like the prop and I explain why. And quickly threes as well. A lot of things to like on the card today. So hit the like button for me if you guys can. And then send me a request if anybody got looks they want to share. Probably be on for probably about another 20 minutes. It's 6:25 right now Eastern Standard Time. So 6:45 is probably when I'll shut it down, as we probably should have most of the injury news. So send me a request and I'll try to get to as many people as I can, but in the next 20 minutes. Also try to be concise with your picks that you have, and the points that you want to share, if at all possible, just to get as many speakers up as possible. Bookie, I want to come to you first, man. What's going on? How you doing?
How we doing? I'm gonna go quick so everyone can get up. First play I'm on 8 and under 18.5. I think it's gonna be 17.5 everywhere now with Mobley in. It was 17.5 other places too before. He's under this line in 5 and 9 games without Booker this season, with the overs coming against the Pelicans, the Lakers without AD, and Washington twice. All 4 teams top 10 points allowed to centers. In 4 career games versus Allen on Cleveland, Ayton has scored 15, 15, 17, 16, on only an average of 10.5 field goal attempts, so definitely going to see lower volume. Over the last 9 games without Booker, Ayton scores 24% of his points in the mid-range and just under 60% in the paint. Cleveland allows the 6th lowest field goal percentage for mid-range and the 2nd least points in the paint. Cavs also allow the least points to centers over the last 30 days. And the 3rd least on the season. No center versus Cleveland has shot over 16 field goal attempts this season. Even Joel Embiid was held to 19 points on 16 field goal attempts. Just 3 of 10 centers this season with 10-plus field goal attempts have scored 19-plus on Jared Allen this season. And Cleveland has the best defensive rating in the NBA on the full season. I think over the last 12 games is the 3rd best. I know a lot of people are on Jordan Poole over 3.5 turnovers. I'm actually going with the under here. Under 3.5. Poole's over this line in a whopping 11 out of 12 games. So a very strong trend, but the line stayed the same. So I'm going to choose to fade the trend here, especially with the matchup. On the season, Detroit allows the least turnovers to point guards and shooting guards. And over the last 30, allowed the 3rd least to point guards and 2nd least to shooting guards. So holding up pretty much over the whole season. Poole has a 26% pick and roll frequency with Curry. Without him, I can imagine it skyrockets. And Poole actually has the 3rd highest pick and roll turnover frequency in the NBA with a minimum of 5 possessions. So that's where he's getting a lot of his turnovers. Many of these turnovers coming from just really poor passes, forcing drives. But today against Detroit, I don't think there's going to be a lot of room for error, as they allow the highest score frequency to pick and roll ball handlers and the 6th lowest turnover frequency. And then looking at stat, he was just 5 of 25 point guards playing 30-plus minutes versus Detroit. I've recorded 4+ turnovers this season. I think it was twice by John Morant and twice by Russell Westbrook. Yeah, those are the only 2 plays I like tonight. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, no, for sure. Appreciate you, Bookie. So you on Jordan Poole under his 3.5 turnovers, and you're on Aiden under his 18.5 points.
Yep.
Okay. So real quick, Bookie, before you leave, I got a question for you. If Aiden doesn't do any of the scoring, no Devin Booker today, how does Phoenix score the ball? I'm just curious from your perspective.
I definitely think, because it holds up to when you look at the stats. Cleveland does give up a decent amount of catch and shoot shots. It translates, when you're driving to Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, you're going to be kicking out to a lot of shooters.
So Mikal Bridges?
So, yeah, maybe he's really good at attacking closeouts too. So, maybe a guy like Mikal Bridges, maybe Landry Shamet, a Damian Lee for a couple 3-pointers, however you want to look at it.
Okay. I like that response. Appreciate you, Bookie. Best of luck to you tonight, bro.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Frag, I'm coming to you. Cam, I'm coming to you. And Pick 'em P, I'm coming to you as well. What up, Frag?
Yo, what up, Chris? How you, bro?
I'm good, bro. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Yeah, last time I was up here, I gave CJ and Hero both 19.5. I cashed, and then the Vert PRA flopped for me, man. He looked like a bum out there.
It be like that sometime, bro.
I mean, they scored 140 points, and he couldn't even get like 15, man. It's crazy. But I got 3 plays. One is going to be probably already it's kind of got away probably. I had locked in Toronto money line yesterday at -140. I had watched the game yesterday with the Bucks and the Wizards, and I just assumed Drew was going to be out. I mean, he's coming off the bench with a little illness, and then I just didn't see him playing on the back-to-back against Toronto with like an illness, and so that worked out for me. I was assuming Giannis was going to be ruled out by out as well, but it looks like he's going to go. But yeah, I got Toronto on the money line at -140, but that's at like -220, 200 right now. So I wouldn't recommend anybody laying that. And then my other 2 plays is going to be 3 plays. I'm going Nets. I'm going Nets trifecta, man. First quarter, first half, full game. I'm just going strictly based off this happened against the New York Knicks, man. Look how they lost against the Mavericks, and then they go to play the Spurs, and they stunk it up, man. So I'm just going off of how they lost that game. They lost exactly the same way. The Knicks lost the same exact way to the Mavericks, the same way the Cavs beat the Bulls off that free throw, little miss it and put it in and go to overtime and get flooded in overtime. So I'm just gonna go straight off of that, and then Knicks lost first quarter, first half, and full game to the Spurs outright. Those were all money line picks if you have placed them. So I'm just gonna go with that. I'm gonna see how it works out for me. And that's one of the best teams in the league. Bulls got arguably one of the worst Swiss cheese defenses I've seen in a while, and yeah.
So Frag, that's the spread for those or team totals for those?
Oh no, I'm going spread for those.
So Brooklyn first quarter, first half, and full game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had Toronto on the money line -140, but it's -210 right now, so I wouldn't recommend anybody laying the juice on that.
Right. Okay. Hey, best of luck, Frag. I hope you cash them, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Let me kick it to Cam and then Pick 'em P. I'm gonna try to get you up. V, I'm coming to you as well. What up, Cam?
Yo, what's good, man?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How you feeling?
I'm good, bro. I can't complain, man.
So, all right. Well, let me be quick with this. I think a lot of what you said will kind of answer the reason I'm playing a lot of these. You know how I am when it comes to my threes. I'm targeting certain teams, and it's the Spurs. You just have to. They've made me so much money this year. Quickly, I am putting that through. So quickly at +105 at over 2.5. So that's an official for me. Last couple games, 3, 4, and 5. He's getting a lot of shots up, and in that last game, he, like you said, he wasn't really needed. He was on the floor, played 36 minutes, but he wasn't they were kind of coasting. Game was over. When they played the Spurs, he absolutely torched them. Obviously, Brunson wasn't in that game, but I still think he'll get up enough threes and hit enough threes against that team to hit his over 2.5. I'm also on Brunson threes at over 1.5 at -115. The same reason. So the last time we targeted the Spurs, we did decently, but I missed something when it came to I I missed a big one, and it bothered me with the Jazz. It was Conley. The point guard position, which Devin Vassell is just not a great defender, and they don't guard it well, and they don't guard it well from the three. And Conley had a plus 925 to hit 4 threes, and he hit 5. And that bothered me. So I'm looking at Brunson, same position, same spot. His over 2.5 is at plus 285. He doesn't hit a lot of threes. He's not that kind of player. But against the Spurs, I think you got to find that spot with that player who is going to hit those threes. And I think tonight Brunson's going to be the dude who takes a couple more threes than he usually would because he's going to have those looks. And his percentage is high, so I do believe his over 2.5 is a strong look at plus 285 for a value play. So I'm playing both of those. Small ladder, just 2 and 3. My next play is Kyrie Irving. This has just been cash at over 3.5. Beside the Spurs, the next worst team with 3 points is the Chicago Bulls. And like you said, it is a revenge game. And Kyrie Irving's been on an absolute tear from 3, 7, 5, 4, and 4. So the over 3.5 at plus 105, still plus money. Just got to keep playing it. He's hit his. I've played this every single time so far, and he's hit it each time. So you just got to keep playing it. If it misses, it's all good. But the way the fact that the Chicago Bulls do not defend the 3-point line, well, they're the second worst in the league next to the Spurs. It just kind of all lines up. And it's, again, plus money plays. Got to keep a look at it. So going to the Raptors game, because I got to give you some Raptors plays. I've been playing this. I haven't been able to give it out because Gary Trent's number hasn't been out in time for the show. And Gary Trent Jr. has been on an absolute tear since he got back in that starting lineup. And his 3 props been plus money up until today, but I still like it at over 2.5 at minus 110. You can also take his points. He's been just going crazy. This is a heat check play for me. Like it seems like I think the points might even be an easier look because it's only 16.5. So there's a good chance I get to the window with both. But the threes, he's just been taking a lot of threes, hitting a lot of threes. I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand the line. I'm not as confident as everybody else is on the Raptors. I get like what the metrics say about back-to-backs and all that. It's just we're such an up-and-down team. They kind of scare me to play on that side. I am looking at. This is another lean. It's Giannis on his rebounds, but laddered up to not laddered, just taking that 13 plus at plus. That's a plus money play, plus 115. Just because we get destroyed on the boards, I would prefer. I'm waiting. They still haven't put out Brook Lopez's numbers, so depending on what his numbers, I might go that route. But so far, centers have just been killing us. I got it wrong with Clark. It was Adams that killed us last game. But regardless, the metric and the actual trend stays. It's centers rebound big against us. We're too small. Plain and simple. All centers either rebounded or scored in double digits. One of the two, it doesn't matter. So look for those 2 props against centers over the last 5 games. The points props have hit for all of them. Like when you have Steven Adams putting up 18, that tells you enough about how we can defend centers. So I want to see what Brooks comes out at, and I might post that on my page after when I actually show the line. But in my last, this is just a lean on the Memphis game. I get the numbers, but I think they're gonna smash Charlotte tonight. So I'm probably just gonna take them first half minus 4, just to get that money early. To avoid any funkiness in the end, because they do have a back-to-back. It is against Orlando, but I could see them trying to just end this game early. They destroyed Charlotte last time they played them, and they're pretty good in this spot. So I looked at it. All their games where they have back-to-backs and they're on the road, they've covered all but one at a minus 7 spread. So I do think they kind of look at it as a sense where let's get this done and do our job. Some of those, the one game it had happened the second half was Houston, but every other game they did it early. So I'm going to probably take them first half minus 4, expect them to try and get out of there early, rest their guys so they can go into Orlando and also slap them up tomorrow too. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Okay, I could see that Memphis first half. They just kind of scared me on the road, but they have been performing better on the road recently, so I couldn't talk you off of any of those, Cam. I hope you cash them, bro.
Respect, man. Good luck.
Absolutely. Same. Right back at you. Pick and P coming to you, and then V, I'm going to come to you. What up, Pick and P?
What up, Chris? Two official picks and then one question. I'm going to start with my officials.
What you got?
Well, this one ain't official yet, but I'm in between James Harden points and assists and Trae Young points and assists. Kings have no defense. Their games go over a lot of the times. They're on a back-to-back, so I really want to attack that. I'm probably going to go with James Harden. It just depends on who I could get at better odds, like right before tip-off. I really don't want to play a minus 125 for the 34.5 points and assists. I'm just, call it greedy, call it what you want. Then Knicks game, resident Knicks fan. This is a good spot for Mitchell Robinson to make up for his performance against the Spurs last game. I had taken him for a double-double. I think he ended up with 2 points and like 6 rebounds in an atrocious game. But now he's at home. He's more akin to get double-doubles at home. His performance is a whole lot better. And the fact that we have Jalen Brunson back is really going to – you know what that true point guard does for the Knicks offense. And the value is extreme. It's like plus, it's teetering, but it's bouncing between like plus 150 and plus 180. So I'm gonna see where I can get it right before tip off. Use a little parlay boost. Throw in Knicks money line because they're not gonna upset me again. Trust me, they won't. And then the third point, I'm glad Canadian Cam is up here because I know there's a Toronto fan that comes up here. I think it's you, Canadian Cam. I'm looking at Siakam 25 points. His line right now is 26.5, but I've been cashing on these 2-legger 25-point parlays, so I'm looking at another leg to add to it. If you look at his stat line, he hasn't gone under this since like December 7th.
You're safe to play Siakam at 25 any game.
The usage, right? The usage is so crazy.
Yeah, the usage is everything runs through him, even with the team. So I kind of got skittish when the whole team came back. Just to answer your question, I got skittish because I was like, is he going to defer and start passing more? Yeah, he didn't do that. He attacked and he went well over. He was at 26, I think, by like the start of the fourth, and then he kind of just chilled. You were safe, in my opinion, to put a 25 parlay with Pascal on any play. Like he's just the usage is insane.
Yeah, it's really crazy. So I guess I got my answer then, and I think I'm gonna ride with you, Kyrie, and take his points as well. This is a great reverse. People are scared because he's gone under, and generally his career against Caruso, he hasn't gone over 20 too much, but this is also a Bulls team. I think Javonte Graham isn't playing, and he's a big defensive anchor, a big rim protector for them. So him not playing and Kyrie being on the run that he's in, the Bulls trending where they're heading, Kyrie's going to get his points via the 3-line and then some. So I think that'll probably be my second leg. But yeah, so those are my officials. We got D. Mitch double-double. There's going to be Siakam and Kyrie for 25. And then I'm leaning probably James Harden points and assists, but Trae Young might just be as good.
Okay. Hey, best of luck, Pick and P. I actually like both of those legs too, Pick and P. Like when you was saying them, I didn't know which one I would probably pick between because I do think Trae's in a really, really good spot tonight. He's in a really solid spot tonight. Getting a Sacramento team that's playing their 6 game in 9 nights, second night of a back-to-back, 3rd and 4, all that good stuff. So I couldn't talk you off there, but I also couldn't talk you off Harden. Harden going to have so much usage tonight, and it's actually why it's one of my favorite leans as well. One of my favorite props as well, looking at – I would take the rebounds as well because, I mean, if James Harden gets a triple-double and we come back and talk about it tomorrow, would anybody be surprised especially against a Pacers team that's like to, push the pace and Embiid being out also creates a bunch of rebounding opportunity. We know Maxi's not 100%, so I couldn't talk you off either one of those, Pick and P. I hope you cash both of them, bro. Best of luck, and I appreciate you sharing them.
Let's get it.
Let's do it. V, coming to you, and then Dream coming to you, and then Ken, I want to get you up as well, bro, so I'm going to come to you as well. What's up, V?
What up, Chris? Thank you for having me on, man.
Absolutely, bro. What you on today? What you liking?
Man, every time I come on here, I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record. But the guy that I'm taking again today is DeRozan, over 26.5 points.
It cashed easily last time, V. If you sound like a broken record and you keep cashing every time, keep doing it, bro.
So, all right, let me pitch you a little bit on this. So, what drew my attention to this play immediately is this Bulls team, man. This Bulls team is so hot and cold. They're good against good teams and then bad against teams that they should be blowing teams out. So, weird stat. The Bulls are 6-1 straight up against the top 3 teams in the East.
Mm-hmm.
They won twice against the Bucks, twice against the Celtics, and once against the Nets. Their only L coming against the Celtics, which was by 4. In those games, DeRozan's averaging 31.7 points. I know last time I was in this place, I also talked about DeRozan and how he likes to score more and shoot more on the road. But that seems to kind of switch too in the last couple of games, with DeRozan averaging 22 field goal attempts over his last 5 games, and he's averaging 32 points in that span on 50. I believe it was 50. It's 50% plus shooting. I think it's 58%, something 52%. Over that same 5-game span, and 4 of those 5 games have come at home. So I feel like he's kind of doing whatever he can to get this Bulls team back in gear for a playoff spot and back to a competitive standpoint where they should have been all season. That game against the Cavs, like we talked about, I was like, he's not going to let it go easily. He's not going to want to lose to this team for the 3rd time in the season already. He did everything he could. That game went to OT. It took 71 from D-Mitch to beat the Bulls in that game, and it was just insanity. You know, I think DeRozan comes off hard off that loss, kind of pissed off against the Nets team that he struggled against in early November. And he was kind of like, we saw his lines early in the season kind of fluctuating all over the place because of his games that he had where he wouldn't shoot the ball. I don't think that happens anymore. I think even last year, after the new year started, we saw him kind of take another turn. He started being more aggressive, scoring the ball more, and doing more for the Bulls as a whole. That's when he was kind of in those MVP conversations for a little while, and all that kind of like stuff was going on. I think it's more of the same tonight versus this Nets team at home, and in a good spot for the Bulls. If you have a short spread, and I didn't think we'd see the spread here with how good the Nets have been and how bad the Bulls have been recently, but I think it's going to be a close game with DeRozan going kind of crazy tonight.
Okay, I couldn't talk you off of it. I could not talk you off of it. And you're right. You're right. What I just looked at, V, was like you said, those teams in the Eastern Conference that have a 50% win percentage or better. The Bulls are 10-4-2 against the spread in that spot. So they're covering when they have to play up the competition, but we see them lose, straight up to teams like the Houston Rockets that have a far worse, record in different conference as well. So. Maybe it's another spot that they get up for. They had a chance to win that game outright the other day against the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland as well. So could not talk you off of that, V. I hope you cash it, bro. Best of luck.
Appreciate you, Chris. Thank you.
Absolutely, bro. Let me kick it to Dream. I know I just got you connected again, Dream. What you got going on today, my guy? What's going on?
Ain't shit, man. What's the vibes? How you?
I'm good, bro. I can't complain. Trying to get some cash, Dream.
Real, man. Real. All right, man. I'm gonna run through my plays real quick. I'm on Ja over 27.5 points. 28.5 is fine. Just crazy pace with Charlotte. He's literally gonna be able to get whatever shot he wants. They don't really have much rim protection, and I will sprinkle this triple double because when I like playing, when I play guys like these superstars that have crazy games. Points wise, I like to also sprinkle their triple double because it could be like an Embiid situation against OKC where he could have had anything he wanted that game, and instead of getting 60, he decided to get a triple double.
Mm-hmm.
So I sprinkled in the Ja triple double, but I love his points. I love Adams' rebounds. Now they high as hell. Well, I'm not gonna say I love them. I really like them.
Same.
I played them. I don't love them, but I played them. This is why I played them. So I've been fading whoever, the center that's I've been playing on the center whoever going against Charlotte, like rebounds or points. Everybody know, if you don't know, Adams has had average 17 rebounds the last 3 games.
30 rebound chances, Dream. 30 rebound opportunities over 3 games, bro.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know that.
I looked at it.
His last time he played Charlotte, he had 19 rebounds in 22 minutes. So you got no Brandon Clark tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's a blowout, I'm still expecting him to get 20 to 22, 23. And if he get 27, 28 minutes, he's going to smash this line. So I can't say I love it, but there's good data behind me playing it. And it's low juice, like minus 102. So
yeah. Real quick, Gene, right? You there? I do think it's something to the books automatically taking that number and putting it so high as well, right? Like 3 games ago, Steven Adams' rebounds was sitting at 10.5, right? They were at 9.5 last week, and now 2 good rebounding games, and he automatically at 14.5. I think it's definitely something to being able to play Charlotte. The books have caught on to it, and they just want you to not to say that it won't hit, but they want you to think about it before you make it an auto play tonight. That's how I feel about it, Gene.
Yeah, and honestly, man, what I've noticed this year, because I'm mostly a prop guy, these outrageous props tend to hit. So just last night, you had Giannis that was basically 34 and a half.
Right. Embiid 33.5. Yeah, you're right. Luka. Yeah.
All these dudes to score 40.
Right.
Look at Luka. You know what I mean? So, and even Hallie, it was a point where his assist was 10 and a half and 11 and a half, and he was really cashing. So,
Yeah.
You know, if he is 7 tonight, I have egg on my face, but it's definitely not a habit I want to get into, playing these high ass rebound numbers. But
Facts.
I'm gonna get with it tonight, man. I took Melo over points. I try to find a way to bet on Melo every night. The threes, the rain with the threes might be done. I started playing his threes when it was plus 136 for 3.5. Now it's like plus 130 for 4.5. I can't do that, but in this matchup with Ja, I could see him wanting to put up some good numbers, and I don't believe Hayward is playing. I know what you call it out, Oubre is out.
Yeah, I think they both out, Dream. I think you're right.
So with Melo, I either played his threes or his points or both. I'm gonna just play the points because the points haven't really moved as much with those two guys that take a lot of shots. I know Dennis Smith Jr. back, but those guys take a lot of shots, and the line really hasn't moved a lot. I know they're not going to put Melo at 27 or nothing, but it's been around 23, 24 last week, and some of those guys were in last week. So I'm going to go ahead, and they moved his threes up, so that's telling you that Vegas is expecting. They know he's taking 11 threes a game. So if he hit 5 threes, I think he's going to go over the 24 and a half, so I just took the points. And then my last two real quick because I feel like I've been talking a while long.
You good, bro?
Over 8.5 rebounds. His last game I played his double and plus 200. I played it again today at 190, but for the sake of the show, it's over rebounds. So he hit this line in 4 of the last 5. He's getting more playing time because of Nneka. He's staying foul trouble, and even when he's in the game, they opting to put him in with smaller lineups, let him play the center. So I'm loving that. And my last play is Wendell Carter double-double. It's sort of a field play. I'm assuming that he's going to play 24 to 27 minutes. He played 24 minutes last game, and he was on the minutes limit. If his minutes limit is lifted, he should easily get a double-double. But even if he plays 24, 25 minutes, I think he can get 10 and 10 versus OKC. So I got the double-double at plus 110. And the last thing I want to say is I'm laddering Nurk rebounds. 14 and 16, and it's just because he's averaged 16 rebounds against Rudy Gay in the 2 games he's played this season, and he's averaged about 26 minutes in those games. So just a little sprinkle on his rebounds.
Okay. Best of luck, Dream. Appreciate you sharing the looks, my guy.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate the platform, bro.
Absolutely, bro. All the time. Ken, kicking it to you, and then we getting up out of here, man. I know I got a couple people that still requested, but we're not gonna be able to get everybody in. I'm over a couple minutes, so. Whatever you got, Ken, is what we're going to finish off with today, my guy.
Shoot, say less. I'm going to try to give everybody some bangers then. Got to go out with a bang. But I got 3 quick props. One of them, the game start at 7. I'm going to try to get this out real quick. It's probably not a favorite play of everybody because he done burned a lot of people lately, but Paolo Banchero, over 23.5 points. I see the line that raised up to 24.5. I still like it around there. You know, Magic, they only got about 8 non-rotational players today. Thunder don't have no rim protection at all. And he under this line in like 5 straight, but I noticed the last game versus the Wizards, he had 21 points on 24 field goals attempted. So the volume's going to be there. And with a guy like Paolo, he's always going to be looking to get his, you know, ever since he got drafted number 1 overall, that organization has given him the keys off the rip to go out there and be him. So I think this is a great game for him to get back in rhythm, and he's fresh off of winning Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month. So I think he start this month off and start this year off with a nice little performance. So I love Paolo to have his way tonight with that Thunder defense. And another play I got is Kevin Durant over 28.5. I like this in last night around like 2:30 this morning, but this is a great spot for KD. Like, Kyrie doesn't have the greatest history versus Chicago, as Alex Caruso should be guarding him on defense, which I'm not really too phased on because it's Kyrie, but I pivoted to KD in this matchup because the efficiency that the Nets have with the PNR offense. And I noticed that the Bulls don't really guard the PNR well, especially with sure that they're going to be targeting Vucevic on the other end. And I just don't see nobody slowing KD down tonight. He should be well rested because I don't think he's played the fourth quarter in the past 2 games with them having a comfortable lead. And he scored 32 versus them earlier this year. So I see KD having a similar performance. And I know he's been enjoying watching these other stars around the league get off. And anybody who knows KD love, he knows that he love to get in on these type of trends. So I think KD has himself a nice, comfortable game today. I seen that line also rose to 29.5. I also like that as well for people that want to take him to get 30 tonight. And one last play I have today is, where is it? Oh, another game that started 7. I took Ja Morant over 20.5. The person who was up before me broke it down perfectly. Hornets don't really have no paint protection, and Ja is averaging, I think, like 31, 32 over his last 5 games. But Ja should feast against this Hornets defense. And I took a slight sprinkle on DeJounte Murray to get a triple-double today. I noticed in his last 3 games, he's been real close. Clint Capella is also out again for the Hawks. And I know his rebound and assist numbers were inflated last game due to the double overtime, but before those games, he played 39 minutes versus the Lakers, 40 minutes versus the Nets. He put up 9 rebounds, 8 assists versus the Nets, 7 rebounds, 9 assists versus the Lakers. It should be a nice back-and-forth matchup between the Kings and the Hawks tonight. It should be a lot of rebounding and assisting opportunities. So I took a nice little sprinkle on that. You get better odds if you build it out 10 rebounds and 10 assists compared to the triple-double straight up. So that's all I got for today.
Okay. A little sprinkle on DeJounte, triple-double, KD over his 28.5, and Paolo over his points as well. Okay. Yeah, eventually Paolo going, I think getting him at a buy low spot is a lot better than people coming up last week and, the last 2 weeks telling me that he automatically just going to go over his player prop because he had been cashing every time. So I like you, going out there on a limb, Ken, and saying, it's his bounce back night. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, I ain't heard nobody talk about him recently because, he has been, kind of hitting that rookie wall or, whatever it is you want to call it. But, Thunder back second game of a back-to-back, with home road travel, I could absolutely see it today, man. Best of luck to you on those looks, bro. I hope you cash all of them as well. Real quick, I'll go over my officials one more time for you guys before we get up out of here. That is the Charlotte Hornets under their team total, under 114.5. James Harden over the 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Looking at San Antonio to go over their first half team total of 60.5. Also looking at the Spurs. I'm also looking at the Knicks full game team total 117.5. And then the Miami Heat over the 116.5 as well. Busy day. Oh, and the Brooklyn Nets. Also looking at Brooklyn. Didn't lock the Brooklyn one in yet. And probably I don't know if I'm gonna get there with Brooklyn or not. Just looking at some of the trends with Chicago. It might be more of a Chicago team total under than the Brooklyn Nets actually getting to their point total. So not 100% sure what I'm going to do with that game. I do want to make some money on Brooklyn tonight, though. Real quick, one other thing I was looking at while people was talking was the Knicks have gotten off to really, really good starts lately. Like they are one of the better teams in the NBA, and they typically punch fast and they punch first. So if you look at the Knicks in their last 10 games in the first quarter, they are 7-3. They've won they've covered 7 of the last 10 first quarter spreads. The problem with that is that the Bulls, which I really hadn't paid attention to, I know at the beginning of the season, they were getting off to slow starts. The Bulls are actually the best first quarter team over the last 10 games against the spread. The Bulls and the Raptors are both 8-2. Pretty interesting stuff. I had no idea. So take that for what it's worth. That with the games, starting in the next 13, 12 minutes, that's enough for me to kind of stay off of that one and probably just, not play the Nets in the first quarter. Still couldn't talk anybody off, like I said. But, typically that's enough, especially with me not being able to dive a little bit deeper because I'm not doing any more research for the night. So I'll probably just end up staying off the Nets in the Bulls game altogether. But I share with you guys what I'm looking at. I'll give it to you guys one more time. The Miami Heat team total over the 116.5. The Knicks full team total over 117.5. Over 60.5 as well for the Knicks in the first half. James Harden over his 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And then the Charlotte Hornets team total under 114.5 in a game that I think goes under, but I'm not willing to bet on the Charlotte Hornets defense. So even if the Grizzlies go over, I think they still hold the Charlotte Hornets under 115 points. So those are my top plays for the day, man. A lot to like on the card today. It's a lot of games. Always, bet responsibly. Make sure you're using a appropriate unit size. And best of luck to you guys. Tomorrow, be back. I think it's 5 games tomorrow. Already looking ahead to those games. Trying to get some spots circled. If you know your injury news and who's going to play and who's not going to play, you can get on some stuff tonight for sure. Best of luck to everybody tonight. As always, I end the show the same way. None of this is financial consultation. It's all theory and logic and trends and NBA.com, advanced stats and analytics, but more so it's eye test, right? Actually watching these games, seeing what the motivation is of these players. Best of luck tonight, man. Bet with your head, not over it, and see you guys tomorrow.